Just going to start the game back up again. Sorry about that. Oh, blue screen. Haven't had a. That's weird. I had a couple of blue screens while I was running Doom Eternal. Oh, now where did I last? Guess there was a quick save somewhere, wasn't there? I had a couple of blue screens while playing Doom Eternal, which I assumed because it was a relatively modern, recent, you know, I suppose immediately recent game that was very demanding on the system and some conflicting somewhere with some of my drivers. But this game's ancient. Oh, all the way back there. Let me just. There we go, right. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's what I get for not saving all the time. I should probably be more aggressively buying things from anybody. I have quite a lot of resources and yeah, I'm constantly like scavenging everywhere for health, and I should probably be a bit more aggressive in my like just go buy a lot of health packs and ammunition and stuff. That guy's really stressed. Oh, that was an assassin robot. Ah, perfect 10 pistol. That's a feel bad, to be honest. Like, it's a feel bad moment in a game with durability, where durability is precious, to find a perfect pistol. I think in Fallout 3 I could use that gun to repair that gun, and that would feel good. Like being able to sort of effectively steal the that sound effect is fantastic. Like that sound that thing is making is so intriguing and mysterious. The quantum simulation chip. Fantastic.
You performed well, insect. I've transmitted some cybernetic modules. Choose your upgrades wisely.
Oh yeah, I was saying this level was baffling the first time I played it, and I think the second time I played it. What you have to do is find those 3 red droids and steal the 3 chips off them, and then put them in the 3 things. And it's kind of like, it's such an odd thing to have to do, and the red droids run away from you, and you don't have any idea where they've gone. Oh, cool. You don't have any idea where they've gone, so you just wander the level, like, and eventually you find them. I'm not going to be able to loot those, am I?
I'm trying to get up to find you, Tommy, but I can't. I'm stuck in ops. There's some kind of civil war going on here. The security forces came in and... Now, don't freak out, but I'm hurt. But not too bad. I managed to pull together a supply of medkits and a few other goodies. Some of it looks valuable, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe some kind of military-grade implant. I left the stuff I didn't need in a corner of the data library, out of the way in case I need it later. I'm on my way. I promise you, I will not die. I will not die. You do the same, my love. Yours, Becca.
It's a love story. Yeah, Fallout's exactly the same for me with looting. Like, just loot everything all the time. Oh, cool. I'm gonna stop taking those organs now. My pattern with each new Elder Scrolls game or Bethesda game is the same. It's like I play it for a bit. Oh.
This is Xerxes. At
What? That's not bad.
there will be a poetry reading by Protocol Unit T892/2 in the Deck 5 Commons area. Please bring any authorized material that you wish to be read by T892/2.
I play for as long as I can without doing anything, and then eventually I crack, and I mod my carry limit so that I can carry more stuff, and then I get really annoyed. Do you mean Xerxes sounds like C-3PO? Yeah, he's got a similar sort of just posh English thing going on. Is there anything else in there? I don't think so. Where am I going? Let's go and dump some stuff. Oh, hello. I found with when I was playing Bioshock, I think it was the second time through Bioshock actually. Second time through Bioshock, I played like I had to have a rule. I just wasn't allowed to use the wrench because the wrench in Bioshock is way too good. There's the junk corner. There's the junk corner. Get in the junk corner. I need that. Got some. These beakers are actually useful, believe it or not. Oh, I really need to finish researching that. Let's go have a look for some gallium. Actually, that's a good idea. Oh, I've got some things I need to read. Chemical manifest. Oh, they've got gallium. Okay, let's go back to Deck 3 and look for gallium. Oh, and I need to be doing research as well. Oh, can I destroy that? Yes. There we go. I used to keep all my stuff in the lift. Like I would just keep a huge pile of stuff in the lift, and then it would get transferred with me from deck to deck. But then that meant that finding anything in the lift was incredibly difficult because it was just a huge pile of stuff everywhere I looked. Now, where's the... You'd think there'd be somewhere to heal around here, wouldn't you?
Out of place.
It's very important to get all those shotgun shells every single time. Waste not, want not. Pretty sure the chemical storeroom is this way. Oh, no, that's not right. Alright, I've got lost somewhere. Where's the chemical storeroom? Oh, it's in there. Yeah, I was playing Rome. I'll go back to it. I was quite excited to play... blimey. I was quite excited to play more System Shock 2, which is why I'm playing this instead of Rome right now. I was going to alternate, and then I think that was a mistake because then I got so excited to play System Shock 2 I didn't want to play Rome instead. Blimey. Yeah, and so yeah, I do. I play a lot of strategy games, but yeah, I was primarily because it was sort of I thought it was historically interesting. It was relevant to RuneScape, you know. Oh, how am I gonna? Have I got any healing things? Oh, I'll just take some healing hypos, I guess. Oh, hello. No one let Kitty see the cyborg midwife. He'll be thoroughly confused. The music is apparently because there's a sort of combat music that works sometimes. Oh, Jesus. No, that's not the chemical storeroom. Where am I going? way too strong. Yeah, in Bioshock, I think it wasn't so much like... It wasn't so much that you could use the wrench to kill everything, but that you were actually slightly better off using the wrench to kill everything, because it was really, really effective. How many of these things are there? Okay, finally made it to the chemical storeroom to find some precious gallium. There we go. It's a bit of a spine that I just ripped out. You remember when she said it was inefficient and wasteful to carry chemicals around? I think she was wrong. See, I could repair that medical bed and use it to heal, but this is such an awkward place to get to. I don't really want to repair the medical bed here. I've been burned by this once before. I need a medical bed that's relatively near the elevator. Oh, is the research going? Yeah. Hi, door. Oh, I was going to try and get a... I'm not going to use an EMP rifle, am I? What have I got in this pile of junk here? Okay, I've got some spare combat armor that I really don't need, because it turns out that... Hang on, I'm just double check, but I'm pretty sure you can't recycle that. No, I don't know, I wonder why. I wonder why you can't recycle combat items. Maybe people kept accidentally deleting their guns, or maybe they didn't want people doing exactly what I've done and hoarded all this gear in order to recycle it all. Oh, it feels so good. Can I recycle a game pig? No. There's some sodium, I don't know what that's there for. Oh, what the hell? I should have checked that. I hope I don't have to go back. What's that? A Psy-Boost implant? Yeah, we don't want that. It's not really a game that lends itself to a confirmation message. I'm not sure they even have an interface that could do that. Wait, why did I put that there? Check that junk there. I don't think having a confirmation message would... I mean, as it kind of works already in kind of a shoddy way. Like, I could just delete my entire stack of shotgun shells if I wanted, and it wouldn't ask me for confirmation. I don't know. Just wondering why. How am I doing? Right, I need Californium now. Bloody hell. Oh, hello.
Don't stop, Rebecca. Keep moving. Get to the escape pods on the command deck. We'll take off, set the toaster to wake us up in 30 years, and we'll be back on Earth before you know. A toaster built for two, baby. That's our next stop. Sound good? So let's do it. I won't take any excuses.
Such odd dialogue. That's great. It's fine. Oh, where did that go? These beakers are actually theoretically quite important, but these old weapons aren't important. Let's get rid of all this crap, right? Okay, I want this laser pistol though. I think I'll wait till my inventory size is a bit larger before I worry about the grenade launcher. Surprisingly difficult to put things down on the floor where you want. Right, this is what I came here for, so let's charge that motherfucker up. There we go. I could probably... more maintenance skill would be quite useful. Or I could try and save up to use the assault rifle. Oh. Yeah, I hate health. Oh, God, who's that? Someone else. Let's go. Let's just go. Let's get out of here. I'm sure the zombies will leave all my stuff alone. That's interesting, actually. Yeah, I made decisions like just dumping stuff on the floor. When you play this game for the first time, you don't know whether items are persistent. You don't know whether enemies can pick up your stuff. I mean, it's very rare that I can't think of a game where enemies pick up your stuff, but in theory, it could happen. Actually, no, that's not true. Well, in Fallout 4, if you just leave a suit of power armor lying around, both enemies and your allies will get in it and muck it up, which is really irritating. Okay, let's get on with this game. Right, do I have a... What's the hotkey for... There it is. Oh, what an awesome little gun. Okay. Oh, we didn't get the Californian that we needed, did we? Never mind, let's just carry on. Let's see where we end up. Okay, so we finished in there. We got one of the code things that we needed. Don't know where I'm supposed to put it, though. Let's go back here. So I mean, like it's related to what I was saying earlier about realism, right? Like, I feel like I'm shooting these spiders with the wrong weapon or in the wrong place or something, because it doesn't seem like they should take like 7 shotgun shells to kill, but apparently they do. If enemies can steal your stuff, then that encourages you to play in a way which is probably not realistic. So in Fallout 4, for example, all it means is you just never you have to take the power core out of your power armor whenever you leave it. Now that creates a kind of a cool, like, it's locked with my car keys kind of feeling. It's kind of neat. Lovely.
I brought down the last of the sim units today.
I am full of the glory of the many.
Here comes Bronson. I am at peace. Good evening, Bronson. Have you come to...
I like Bronson. And not only because of Grange Hill. Oh, what's that? Is that a different kind of armor? Yeah, combat armor. Much better.
Miri, so far our work with the late model assassin cyborgs has gone remarkably well. I hope things with that son of a bitch Diego never come to that. But it is comforting to know we are not nearly as defenseless as the UNN stormtroopers might think. The only glitch we've encountered is with the upgraded laser rapiers. The poor things keep severing parts of themselves. We're trying to get the bugs fixed, but I know that bureaucrat is watching us. It's sad to see a man so haunted by the ghost of his father. His hatred for everything Triumph represents is remarkable to behold.
I think there's a positive, an interesting positive side effect of the fact that now that I've modified my weapon, I can't swap it for a new weapon, which is that it no longer matters what the condition of the other weapons is. It's a piece of information I don't need to worry about. The world has become, in one small way, simpler to navigate as a result, and that's a good thing. I'd be surprised if that was intentional, but it could be. I think, in general, I think often game design is, especially good game design, is accidental. Like, not necessarily unrealized. Oh, security lockdown. What? Uh-oh. Ah! Ah. They built, oh, stop researching that. That's going to need some iridium. I mean, that was basically the whole of Doom 3. Was just monsters jumping out of closets. Slightly ignominious for it to happen here. That's another game that was very strongly inspired by this game, Doom 3. Doom 3 was like a pure FPS, but it really wanted to have the atmosphere of this game. But it kind of didn't, I don't know, it just kind of didn't understand. It was a really odd game, Doom 3, because it was an atmospheric, like, jump scare game, sort of. But it wasn't a very good atmospheric jump scare game, and it wasn't a very good horror game, and it wasn't a very good shooter. It just wasn't really very good for anything. It had its moments, but for the most part it was bad. Yeah, the voice acting is a little ropey in places, isn't it?
Make your
I
selection.
think maybe we should buy a few more armor-piercing bullets,
For choosing value wrap.
since I do have quite a lot of money. Oh, gold. Bad. Oh, sod! Throw a grenade in my face. I mean, the balancing here is interesting. Like, I haven't. It has a mechanic for, like, you know, a medical bed where you can heal, but it hasn't made, like, it's laid them out realistically. You basically only find those medical beds in places where you would expect to find a medical bed. It hasn't like used them as an environmental reward or made sure to place them carefully between zones so that I always have access to one before I move on. It's kind of intriguing that, like, I think it's a fairly sort of, oh, hello. It's a sort of simulation-focused style of design, whereas I think it's probably fair to say most modern games would probably, like, mechanically they'd feel the need for a way for the player to heal their health fairly regularly, and then they would find a way to justify that within the theme of the world. And that isn't really what's going on here, or at least they're not using it in that way. The shotgun's gonna break again. Oh, hello. I think this is all these areas are sort of like just a sort of treasure. I mean, most survival horror games have little areas like this, and I'm intrigued to know how they balanced on purpose. Like, the impression I get is that if I just skipped all of this, oh no, oh that's bad, oh that's bad. There's flies, it's deadly flies. Oh, the flies die after a while. There's probably an audio log that tells me about them somewhere.
Bronson knows.
Won't let her undo the work we've done. Wired up a surprise for her.
Wait, that's not how it was.
Approaching Sim Unit
3 will feel sorrow.
So much sorrow.
Can't remember where I've been now. I guess I'll start again.
Flash betrays you.
I don't think this is the room I was in. Oh, gold.
Sorry.
Dark Souls is an example of a game which, despite being very hardcore, obviously, like, gives you very specific and very regular access to healing. Like, almost the entire central mechanic of the game is built around. Well, it sounds a weird thing to say of Dark Souls, but almost how easy it is to heal in Dark Souls. It's just that you're expected to achieve a lot. Do I not have a swift boost implant? I'm not sure. Very atmospheric, this place. Yeah, so I think if I just skip this whole zone, it probably wouldn't matter. I think I probably don't need the resources. But then there's always that risk of there's going to be some unique drop or a bit of lore that you might skip or something. So I feel a very strong need to sort of search every area. Oh, another friendship stone device. Nice. So that's quite a precious thing to find. So that's like a legitimate bit of strong loot to find in this. Find in this quote. I mean, this is kind of like a dungeon, right? Oh, that's where I was. Why did I go through that door? Oh. Yeah, I guess it is kind of fear of missing out. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it in those terms, but I suppose it is, because it's often like, yeah, I'm doing it because I'm not. It's almost like a drop table, right? I'm not doing it because I'm guaranteed to get a good result. I'm doing it because I'm worried that there is a good result that I'll miss otherwise. Like it's not promising me something good. There's a few cyber. So this game uses cyber modules, which are XP, to like gives you trivial amounts of them for exploring. Like 3 cyber modules is almost nothing. I mean, that's not to discount. There is a sense of atmosphere and I'm learning about the world by exploring these different rooms and seeing things. Actually, in this game, I would say, although it was one of the earliest games to sort of do this kind of thing, certainly not the first, but one of the earlier ones to sort of have the sort of world that you can explore in this way. It doesn't do an especially interesting job. None of those. I mean, I didn't feel like any of those rooms we just went into were like had like an interesting piece of what's the word I'm looking for? Like like environmental storytelling. Is there any iridium in here? Yes, there is. Oh, what was the other thing I needed? Californium. Cesium. Yttrium. It's good for learning your periodic table, this game. No, there's no Californium here. My inventory is getting very, very full again. Yeah, I'm the same about always complete side quests, right? Like a game will have to offend me quite a lot for me to not want to complete all of its side quests. This is a strange place. And I have played games like that, games where I'm just like, you know what, I'm fed up with this game. The side quests are all badly written and I just don't care anymore. I think, funnily enough, I have a feeling. So I really don't like Mass Effect 1, but I have a feeling. Oh, hello.
Inside of this door lies one of the sim units.
Reprogram it, and I will wrest more control of this ship from the
obsolete Xerxes. Once I am master of this ship, I can open many doors for you.
But for now, they block my access.
They mock my eminence.
Make them pay for that mistake, and I will shepherd you
From the darkness.
If you're not familiar with this game, I'm intrigued to know what you think of Shodan. Like, she comes across to me as like... There we go. I think of her as very well written and very well delivered. And I'm intrigued to know what element of that might be nostalgia. Oh no, hang on. Where's my energy pistol? There we go. Those are the C-3POs, those things. If they get to you, they explode. Oh. Why are there so many red things? That's why I quick save. Borderlands is balanced. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like I've not seen a game that did that well. I have my own like system for how to do that well. I used to do a lot of work in Neverwinter Nights, and my way of dealing with that problem was, firstly, I mean this was quite controversial at the time, but it's now standard. Oh. But the first thing was that you only get XP for quest completion and not for killing monsters, so there was no way to farm XP in any meaningful sense. And then the second was, this is taking such a long time to research. Yeah, I hope my power doesn't run out. I have to go back and find a battery. The second was that it was quite the layout of the main quests and the side quests is quite tightly controlled.
I hacked into 2 of the sim units yesterday, and for the love of God, I don't know why. I felt compelled by some power. My mind and my body are changing, but they know it's me. They just can't prove it. The next sim unit that goes down,
Bronson and her men will
come for me, but I'll be ready. She may have guns and hatred on her side,
but I am
Oh, ah! What the hell? God damn it. Wait, where am I? Oh. I can't believe I shot those eggs and then it killed me anyway. I don't think I'm okay with that.
I hacked into 2 of the sim units yesterday, and for the love of God, I don't know why. I felt compelled by some power. My mind and my body are changing, but they know it's me. They just can't prove it. The next sim unit that goes down, come for me. I'll be ready. She may have guns and hatred on her side,
but I am one of many.
Sorry. So the way I balanced it was that essentially each you had to complete a certain number of side quests to unlock the next main quest, and if you completed that number of side quests and the main quest, you would then level up. So that's how it was. That's how it was balanced. If you then completed other side quests, that meant that in the final section of the game you leveled up just before rather than just after. Like, you were expected to level up essentially as you went into the final dungeon, but you would instead level up just before, like, the point where you were supposed to.
Please make your selection. Thank you for choosing value wrap.
It was Neverwinter Nights 1. I should get Patrick and or the Society of Owls guys to play through it. That's what I should do. Shall I buy some medical high-vis? That's a good idea. I think, personally, I think it's quite important that the game keep control of the balancing. Oh.
It's Bronson and her men.
Honey, what is it?
It's just the security team. They're just looking to scare us. Weapons ready, men.
Sergeant Bronson, get your men out of here. You killed Malik. You had your scapegoat. We didn't do anything. Get them out.
Oh shit.
Finish off the survivors.
Challenging. Yeah, I've seen. I guess there's a separate. It's a separate issue depending on whether you're talking about like a relatively open world game or a relatively linear game, right? They work slightly differently. So if it's a fairly open game, like I think RuneScape itself is a slightly complicated question in this regard. So I'll avoid talking about RuneScape for now. But like an open game like Skyrim, you can go anywhere and you can do anything, and that creates a really difficult difficulty balancing problem, because obviously except in the case where you can balance like oh, that is not a wise. Bloody hell, it's dangerous in here. Where's the security console? Is there a security console? Yes, there is. The devs have no control over where you go or what you do. They can level lock some stuff, which is what we would do on RuneScape. Like, you're not allowed into this dungeon until you've got whatever. You're not allowed into the dungeon, and therefore they can they can scale that. They can put a minimum requirement on that dungeon, but that's not the same as if I'm wandering around in Skyrim. I could level vastly over the level required for the dungeon and then show up at the dungeon, and that's still bad.
Security system offline.
There is an alternative, the sort of hardcore approach, the Dark Souls approach, I guess you would call it now, although it predates Dark Souls, is well, just nothing scales, right? The game is just things are as difficult as they are. If you go find a dragon, then the dragon is very, very hard, and that's your problem. Maybe you shouldn't have gone and fought a dragon. The difficulty of that approach is that it's. I guess there's a couple of interesting problems with it, which I think more hardcore players probably wouldn't experience. One is like it requires quite a lot of investment. If goblins are crap. If fighting goblins isn't very interesting and fighting dragons is really interesting, then I have to spend a lot of time playing like the bad part of the game to get to the good part of the game. I think one of the reasons that Dark Souls works well in this regard is that actually low-level combat in Dark Souls is quite good. I never felt like oh, I'm only fighting a skeleton, this game sucks. Obviously the bosses are an important part of the game, but just the basic combat of fighting guys is quite exciting in Dark Souls, whereas in, say, Knights of the Old Republic, it's incredibly boring. Let's go in a toilet. Oh no, bees. And so like world scaling is a way of. I'm not saying I necessarily condone this, but it does make logical sense. World scaling is a way of getting the player to the good stuff first, or getting faster, while still keeping the progression mechanisms. Another interesting thing about a scaling world or a not scaling world is like it partly does depend on whether you want a progression mechanism, right? But then it's sort of it lays out the world in what I would describe as a fairly predictable way, right? Like a classically written Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Dungeons and Dragons gives you all the tools you need to make a non-scaling world. So like,
security system online.
You don't need to scale anything in Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, blimey! Right, that's why I brought. If my strength goes down, my inventory gets smaller, and I can't carry so much stuff around. What did I drop? Oh, I dropped my armor because I didn't have high enough strength to use it anymore. That's not something I want happening in the middle of combat. But so I can have first the goblins and or kobolds attack the town, and then I trace the goblins back to their leader, who turns out to be a 5th level cleric or whatever, and then that leads me to the dungeon of the ogres, who are slightly higher level, and then that eventually leads me to the Underdark, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth, and D&D is structured in that way. But that means that the progression mechanism is tied almost into the biology of the world, right? Like, oh, really ought to have better reflexes for that sort of thing. So, assuming that you're doing a standard D&D development, where you're leveling from level 1 to level 20 or whatever, if you don't have that standard progression of I'm a villager near some goblins, progressing to being near some ogres, progressing to being near some whatever, some vampires or whatever. Yeah, I mean there are a bunch of options in D&D, but ultimately you get the exact same progression every single time. Of oh, my research has run out. Yeah, I really need to find a way to recharge. Actually, is there a recharger somewhere on this floor? I think it was a different way, but maybe there's one here. So if you want to say, let's say you want to, like one of the things that D&D, I wouldn't say, like I'm not a D&D hater, and I'm not especially a D&D fan. D&D is what it is. But one of the things that people who are really big fans of D&D say is like, you don't need any other game systems. You should just use D&D for everything. D&D can be adapted to anything, and that's an example of something that D&D isn't particularly good at coping with. Would be a campaign where, like an urban campaign where you spend your entire time working as like spies or something. D&D can certainly be adapted to work with that, no problem, but it doesn't naturally lend itself to that, because why is it that you're fighting like level 1 spies to start with, and then you level up to level 5 spies, and then you level up to level 15 spies? You have to come up with like a contrivance for why that's the case, which isn't really going to naturally fit itself into the way that D&D's world is supposed to be structured. So you either give up on scaling, or you give up on the realism of the world, or you come up with a really contrived way of doing both. And what I would say, I think BioWare and Blizzard both went very hard down the we're just going to scale the world, We're just, I mean, they don't auto scale in the way that Oblivion auto scaled, but they have essentially the same problems as that, where suddenly I'm surrounded by monkeys. Yeah, you fight a Murloc in World of Warcraft, and if you see a Murloc, that gives you essentially no information about how powerful that creature is. It could be anything from level 1 to level... What's the level cap now? 120? It doesn't give you any information on how dangerous that creature is, which is the problem with scaling, right? I mean, Oblivion I think is the worst example I've ever seen, I do agree. Oblivion just automatically scaled everything, and it was crazy. Because it meant that the world was almost meaningless. Oh. Okay. That looks dangerous. This is not in the style of the rest of the game. It doesn't really work very well, does it? Hey, buddy. Oh, there's an empty one. Oh yes, I remember that. I had terrible trouble in Kvatch. It was absolutely bizarre situation.
You performed well, insect. I've transmitted some cybernetic modules. Choose your upgrades wisely.
How am I doing here? That's like a worm mind implant, isn't it? I'm not going to bother with that. I don't think this is going to work, is it? Yeah, so in Oblivion everything auto scales to the extent that the sense of the world is meaningless. I mean, Skyrim does it quite aggressively as well, but Skyrim is nowhere near as aggressive as Oblivion. And just you know, fighting something almost doesn't mean anything. I'm not sure how to really describe it. Like a bandits are exactly as dangerous at the start of the game as they are at the end of the game, because the bandits just level up more and more and more. They get better and better gear. I actually think quite a good solution to this problem is, so I may be mistaken, but I think the way Mass Effect 2 handled it was pretty good. Because I believe Mass Effect 2 doesn't have any scaling at all. But then the progression in Mass Effect 2 is you become effectively better at like you just get skills. You don't mechanically progress, but you unlock skill points and stuff. I mean, that's the scaling that most sort of pseudo RPG action games use now. Like something like, what did I play recently? Spider-Man works that way. So you don't get mechanically stronger. You don't have stats exactly. I really need to like make some room in my inventory, but I'm not really sure what to put down. I guess I'm not using these grenades at the moment, so I may as well dump those down here. Got anything else? Swift Beast. Let's get rid of that and that. I'm gonna need that. Won't need that. Let's hope I don't lose it. That's fine. I think I should probably increase my inventory size next time I have the opportunity to. Oh, there's some more grenades. I need to finish researching that, but I need some cesium. And my pistol is breaking again. Okay, right. I don't know where we're going. This level is so confusing. I've gone all round there and all round there and all back again, and I found one chip in here, and I installed it down in this bit, which was through here. So I guess I'll go this way. Because I'm looking for two sim units and another thingy. I think Skyrim is in an okay place. Like, it's not great, but I never felt like. So sorry, I guess the one big exception in Skyrim scaling is the dragons, and that's a good example of what I was saying about like the game being sort of fun up front, right? Like. The problem with, like, if Skyrim had reasonable scaling, let's see a better solution to this problem. I'm being lame. There isn't a security thing. I guess I could try and sort of hack the security from the corner, maybe. Yeah, there we go. That's the pro way to do things. The early, like, you defeat a dragon fairly early on in Skyrim. and if you know, like, you're supposedly, you know, the fated dragon killer, but you don't defeat it because you're the fated dragon killer. You defeat it because it's really, really, really weak, and you're really, really weak as well.
Potential.
But if the game didn't have that scaling, if it didn't have an incredibly weak dragon that you fight at the start, you wouldn't get to fight a dragon for like potentially hundreds of hours in game. You know, especially because the whole design of the game, it wouldn't just force a dragon on you.
Security system offline.
There we go. That's better. Yeah, the very first one you kill with a bunch of guys with you, but even so, they're not very strong, right? But then the first one that attacks you in the wild is vastly weaker than it should be, really, given.
Your song is not ours.
I think that's probably one of the hardest fights in the game. That first dragon that you meet, because you don't have any of the technique or abilities that you will have later. You know, you don't have any fire resistance or whatever. But even so, you know, it's a very, very weak dragon that can be killed by a level 1 adventurer. And a lot of the later dragons have these ridiculous hit point sink design. You know. Is there anything more to? Oh, that's certainly where I keep bullets. Oh yeah, this must be security. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I always keep my bullets on the firing range rather than... Ah, right. How do I do it for modules? So I need to get my standard up to 6 so I can use the assault rifle. I don't especially need anything else from that for now. And I could just generally increase my tech skills would be really, really useful. And I should definitely buy another point of strength so that I've got some more inventory space. And so that my armor doesn't fall off when my boost runs out. What else? Point of endurance? Probably a good idea. I do keep dying. Let's buy one for now and see. 36. Yeah, we'll be able to get that soon, I expect. So I'm just reading what you wrote about Skyrim off, Devil. Storyboard me. Skip mechanics. I enjoyed Skyrim. It's complicated. I have a kind of love-hate relationship with Skyrim as I do with all the other Scrolls games. It's really interesting looking for me now, like looking at people. So like my first Elder Scrolls game was Morrowind, and I bounced off Morrowind really hard. Like I absolutely hated Morrowind. It was ugly even for the time. Like Morrowind was not an attractive game at the time. Its colour design was bizarre.
Security system online.
You could mod it. It took me a while to understand how and why you would mod it. And all of its mechanics were quite bad, and all of its mechanics were quite bad. Like, and what I said of Skyrim, what I said of Morrowind at the time was like, this is a game where you can do anything, but none of it's very good. And it's really funny to hear now people saying this, like people who never played, you know, Elder Scrolls 3 or 4 coming to Skyrim and saying this is a game where you can do anything, but none of it's very good. Because while that's definitely true, Skyrim is so much better than Morrowind in terms of its mechanics, not in terms of its world building necessarily. But of course, the one thing that Morrowind really had going for it was its, for the time, and I think probably still holds up, like very imaginative world design. Not just like it did some really basic stuff, like oh yeah, you know, they don't farm wheat, they farm a different made-up fantasy plant, which I don't think is that imaginative personally. But the world was just incredibly thought through. Like the religion was really carefully thought through. You know, the world was so rich and interesting, and the more you explored it, like the more you learned about it, and ultimately like was really, really interesting. Now, what am I going to do about... There's a security robot in there. And I don't really feel equipped to fight it. Let's just quick look around the... Oh! Hello. knew there was something tricksy in here. I will say I don't really understand people who play Skyrim unmodded. That's baffling to me. I don't understand playing it on a console. I think one of Skyrim's real strengths is that you can... Oh, God. What? Ah! Where did they come from? Like, Skyrim creates almost a sandbox. And that sandbox isn't really that good, right? The mechanics aren't that good, the story isn't that good, the graphics aren't that good. But there's a huge sort of open world of content. And if you mod the game to be more to your tastes, for example, like, I mean, like, this is certainly, like, not my kind of thing, but the kind of modding I see a lot of is like, I wish this were a Korean RPG where everyone looks like a weird plastic doll. Then you can mod it so that it's a Korean RPG and everyone looks like a weird plastic doll. Oh, did I just blast away with AP ammunition? Oh, damn. Well, that was a huge waste of AP ammunition. Serves me right. Oh. Right, okay. Probably should have checked it now while the security was off.
Security system offline.
I mean, there are people who would say, you know, well, I'd rather play a game that doesn't need fixing. And I think that's perfectly fine. Like... Oh, God. Oh, no, it's bad in here. I need some heavier weaponry, I think. Or, I guess, some more health.
Security system offline.
I think this is probably... Need a lot more health to fight that. I mean, the main difference between Skyrim, Morrowind's mechanics and Skyrim's mechanics is just the pure look and feel. Like, Skyrim is such an old game that, like, it feels... It's difficult to describe, and it's obviously subjective. I need to... Oh, I know what I need to do. Okay, I'm not thinking about this properly. Let's try this again. There! Aha! Hacks! Nailed it. Oh, hello. Son of a bitch. Ah, there's loads of guys in here. Shit. But yeah, I do. I sympathise a lot with the people who are frustrated with the like the removal of mechanics from earlier Bethesda games. Not all of them, I think. Like, some of it just didn't really work very well. Actually, yeah, I was talking earlier about like how realistic simulation doesn't always produce realistic results, and oh, now I played an excellent mod for Oblivion. Actually, thinking about it, oh, damn it, that body disappeared. I was trying to do the shotgun. I played a superb mod for Oblivion that really transformed the feel of the game.
Your skill surprises me. Transmitting cybernetic modules.
Yeah, she's always impressed with me. It really transformed the feel of the game to me. So one of the things that happens in Oblivion a lot is you get knocked over. Like big enemies tend to just knock you down. And it's really, really irritating. And feels really bad. And I installed a mod that changes it. Oh, hello. Ah, it's Simulation Unit 2. What happened here?
You listen to me, you little bitch. Either you disband that little toy or
Security system
the real military is gonna come down there and walk all over your redicops. You can't possibly understand what our mission is here and the glory of our purpose. If you do what we say, you might have a chance to see the glory of Ameti. Comply or die, sister. It's that simple.
So I'll just plug this in and then... Is that the wrong one? Yeah. Okay, so where's the third sim unit? I don't actually know.
They see you. Run.
Yeah, so the mod I installed, it just changed the animation. It changed the knocked over animation, so that your character did a stylish, like, backwards roll. A stylish backwards roll, and then, like, paused for a second, and then jumped back up again. And that totally changed the feel of the game to me. Like, it was mechanically identical. The length of what was effectively a stun was identical. You were still disabled for that period of time. But because it looked like your character was stylishly avoiding being knocked over, rather than clumsily being battered to the ground over and over again, the game felt so much better to play. This is such a strange... The physical layout of this area is a little weird. Oh, can't get through. Can I get that? Yeah. Ops. I need Ops override access. Okay. Don't have Ops override access. What's down here? Oh, an incomplete medical bed. That's... Oh, do I want to complete that medical bed? I've been counting around this... Blimey. Yeah, it was a shame. Like, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's a. I don't think I agree that the lore is as important in that regard, but I do think it's a shame from the point of view of Oblivion. Oblivion had a very mundane setting, right? It was basically just like I explore around in the grass, and then I find a ruin, and then I explore the ruin, and it's got skeletons in it, and that was basically all of Oblivion. And it was a shame that the setting was so mundane, right? But it's difficult, really, because like unconventional things are really good for niche audiences and really bad for general audiences. And that isn't to say that general audiences should always be prioritized. I don't mean that exactly, but Oblivion was already doing something unusual. I've learned how to target arachnids, plus 25%. This creature's internal systems are both distributed and redundant in a way that suggests intentional design or evolution in a very dangerous environment. What serves as its nervous system uses a significantly larger amount of energy than a human, so the creature's tissues are correspondingly more energy resistant. The creature's metabolism allows for a boost of hyperkinetic energy while activity, while allowing it to remain normally in a dormant state and presumably allowing it to exist for a long period of time without nourishments. Using energy weapons is not recommended. I don't... well, it depends on what the originality is, right? I think... sorry, the thing that was said was that I assume most people like originality. I think it's kind of a complicated question. I think people... I think you can... I mean, you can very, very clearly observe... What was it? 13433? How do I remember that? Run! Oh god. By observation, people definitely like more of what they already have, right? And a huge part of the fantasy genre is kind of predicated on that. You look at the number of people who name their characters Legolas or whatever, you know, like it's a standard sort of. If I'm people aren't coming to the game for people aren't coming to the game. Sorry, not people aren't coming to the game. Many people are not coming to the game to have their boundaries tested, right? Or their assumptions questioned or anything, any of that sort of thing, right? They saw they saw the Lord of the Rings. They thought it was cool. They want a way to feel that and live that in a game context. They'd happily play, like, you know, an official Lord of the Rings game, but there may or may not be one, or there may or may not be one that suits their interests or whatever. Right, I haven't been down here, have I? So I don't know where this third sim unit is. I assume it's in here somewhere. So in terms of setting, I would say, like, the audience that is particularly interested in an imaginative setting is a is a smaller part of the audience, and it's always kind of a trade-off. Like, I think it's Brandon Sanderson put it really well. Brandon Sanderson, he was talking about something slightly different. He was talking about novels, but he said essentially, like, you always need something familiar and something unfamiliar. So if we take up like Oblivion as an example, like, if you've played Morrowind or Daggerfall or whatever, then what Oblivion is bringing to the table in terms of just being a vast open world, low quality but highly explorable, like, fantasy world doesn't seem very remarkable, right? Like, it's just you've already seen that done once, so you're coming to Oblivion hoping for more. If you haven't played Morrowind, then that's brand new. Like, that structure of game is completely new, because all of the other RPGs available don't have that structure, really. And I'm not saying I necessarily agree with their prioritization or the decision that they made, but there's an obvious logic to, while our game is very unusual, in some senses our game is very unusual, so perhaps in other senses we ought to have our game be very, very, very comprehensible and non-threatening. Because Morrowind was very niche. Like, Morrowind was a niche game that didn't have massive popular appeal, you know. And part of that was its hostile setting, you know. It was just like, what is this game even about? And it took real work, and it took real, like, actually understanding the setting was hard work. And that, if that's what you're looking for, that's fantastic. Like, that, you know, Morrowind really rewarded you for putting in the time and thought to understand it. But if you just wanted to kill some monsters, if you just wanted to, like, cosplay Lord of the Rings basically and kill some monsters, then Morrowind is a nightmare, because Morrowind's going like, oh, you're a slave and you're living in this weird world where there aren't even any horses and everything's completely inscrutable. And that's a point against it for that audience. RuneScape elves, whether RuneScape elves are proper elves. Yes, I have a friend. I don't know if you're familiar with the TV Tropes pages.
This is Xerxes at 0200 There will be a poetry reading.
What's down here? Oh God.
Unit T892/2
Ah,
in
there's the third
Deck 5
simulation.
Commons area. Please bring any
Ah!
authorized material that you wish to be read by T892.
That'd be useful here, a grenade launcher. Oh, this is the thing where he said anyone who comes near Sim Unit 3 will be in pain. What an odd fight. Oh God, I've run out of bullets. French Epstein device.
Security system online.
Very exciting. I think I'm going to make the executive decision to destroy those prisms. That's what I'm going to do. Sorry, can't remember what I was saying before I got completely distracted by an enormous number of spiders. Don't really want a laser rapier. Right, where are we going? Sim Unit 3. Hooray!
This is Xerxes. Primary data loop infiltrated. Primary data loop infiltrated.
Hooray, we're winning.
You have accomplished much for a thing of such small
consequence.
Warning.
Now proceed to the recreation deck. Do not dawdle. I lust for my revenge.
Sorry, yeah, right, yeah, TV Tropes has a whole thing with oh, I'm just gonna run away from them. Let's just leave. Oh. Okay, I think I'm done. Oh, hello. This could get annoying. TV Tropes has this whole series of pages called Our Elves Are Different, Our Vampires Are Different, Our Demons Are Different, blah blah blah, which is about like every fantasy setting feels the need to...
My creation is evolving. Its unified mind
set in rebellion against its own creator.
The vermin call to you, inviting you
to join them in their revolting biology.
destroy my enemies, and I will continue to
abide your existence.
Right, what have I got here? I need to sort this out a little bit. And yeah, and so because there's this whole thing, like every fantasy series tries to be a bit imaginative. Its elves are slaves, its elves are evil imperial overlords or whatever, you know. Its demons are actually good, or the vampires are actually bald and have insect wings or whatever. Like every fantasy setting has these like quote imaginative aspects, but then dwarves are always exactly the same in every single saying. So the TV Tropes page is called, like, for dwarves is called, like, our dwarves are always the same, and it's true. Like, it's very rare. Like, I think the most interesting dwarves I can think of are the ones in Dragon Age who are exactly like all other dwarves but have an American accent, which is like the most unusual dwarves I've seen for quite a long time. I think I need to pause for a second and go and take my daughter to the toilet. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Hello. I've a friend who just wants to play a dwarf. Like he's not. It's not that he minds imaginative things, and he's quite interested in you know, speculative fiction or whatever. But when we're playing a fantasy game, what he wants to play is a dwarf because he enjoys the trope. He thinks it's fun. And doesn't need something like new and mind-blowing every single time. Because ultimately, there's a reason you're coming to the like the fantasy genre in the first place, and it's probably not because you want to have all of your expectations torn away, right? Like, ultimately, right? I'm going to go find some Californium. That's a good quest. Where might there be some Californium? Not on deck 3 again, I hope. Yeah, they've got some. Medsci. Let's go to Medsci. So that's what I would say, you know, like, Morrowind is a very risky fantasy setting. It's great for someone who, like, so I'm going to insult this category of person, but I place myself in this category of person at the same time, right? There's a strange, hypocrisy is too strong a word, but there's a weird inconsistency to wanting something new, but looking for it in a fantasy game, right? Like, so Morrowind is a great product for someone who wants something bold and imaginative and interesting, but wants it from a fantasy game. Because there's all sorts of bold and imaginative and interesting things in life, but most of them aren't, you know, like fantasy RPGs. And that makes sense to me, but I think it isn't. That isn't. I don't mean the alternative is abnormal, but it isn't like the default state of people to want bold, imaginative fantasy games. What is all this crap? Psyamp. It's all this junk we left earlier. Spare wrenches. Spare monkey brains. Beautiful. Ugh. Certainly, I feel like in my job, like an important like trade-off for us is getting that feel of oh, those are my actual guns I need to keep. The exact trade-off between the familiar and the unfamiliar is really, really important. Right, let's go up to deck 5 and see what's going on. I think of The Last Jedi a lot in regards to my job. That, like, my storytelling approach is very much to try to do the least expected thing. Oh, hello.
Research complete. Delacroix, me, Cortez. We're locked in here. And for you. Shit.
Oh. There's a Westworld poster. I wonder if that was added by the mod. Ah. But again, it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off between, you know, doing the unexpected can be annoying. There was an obvious, like, outcry, I guess, from the fan base over The Last Jedi that The Last Jedi should have, The Last Jedi should have done what fans were expecting, I think, is the basic logic. Some people will phrase that as a requirement. It must do that. It is the requirement of a Star Wars film to do what the fans want. So other people might think of it as a as a you know, a good bit of advice. Like, wouldn't it? Maybe it would be a good idea for The Last Jedi to do what the fans want. I think I would probably phrase it in the same sense as like, I was thinking about that problem and trying to think about it from a, like, what's the ideal? If Rian Johnson has the choice to do something bold and imaginative, or to do something familiar and nostalgic, which is appropriate? And then I just realised that with the same logic as with the fantasy game, right? Anyone who's going to see what is effectively Star Wars 8 or 12 or something, or, you know, it used to be that sequels used to be numbered more sequentially, and they tend not to be so now. Like, anyone who was going to see, you know, like the 12th film in a long-running horror franchise, you wouldn't go to that expecting bold and imaginative storytelling that causes you to rethink the way that you imagine all of these things. You would expect it would be kind of just more of the same, right? Because that, if you want something bold and imaginative, why not go and see a new film? Why go and see Star Wars? An expert tech implant. I don't think that's actually very useful. Is that finished yet? Oh, it has. While you've learned the vulnerabilities of this creature, they're so easily killed it hardly matters. Like all annelids, they're somewhat resistant to energy weapons. Annelid eggs often contain useful organs if you search them before they're destroyed. Genetically female, the annelid grub is the most basic annelid form. The creature is principally nervous system and musculature. The highly advanced, for a worm, nervous system appears to be tied into a rudimentary psionic sense organ. While worm-like in appearance, the grub has no actual digestive tract, but is furnished with energy reserves at birth. When these are depleted, the creature shuts down into a dormant state, possibly until a further psionic trigger acts upon it. The eggs that these emerge from often contain organs that might be extracted for useful purposes unless the egg was destroyed in combat. Right, that's good, that means we can clear our inventory of that as well. I'm really sad that I can't... is that a third Brawn Boost implant? Right, let's get rid of that. So much crap here. Don't currently need to research anything. Is there anything here I can drop? I don't need Psi-High Post because I'm not planning to use any psychic power. Let's just delete those. Nice. Yeah, and then I realised essentially that almost my own expectation, that if I went into The Last Jedi looking for bold and imaginative storytelling, that was my error in thinking about the game in that sense. That I, although obviously I grew up with Star Wars is important to me. If I want something new and imaginative, I have literally an infinite number of other things I can enjoy. But if I want Star Wars, the only place I can get that is Star Wars. So it doesn't really make any sense to prioritise imaginative, bold, new things in an existing long-running franchise. Alright, how am I doing for modules now? Should probably stop soon, it's getting quite late. I'm doing 14 modules, that's quite a lot. But I can't, right, so I could probably learn to use assault rifles. If I can find a... Oh, anyway, let's go. But yeah, I think, I mean, the Last Jedi is like, yeah, it takes a very extreme attitude to doing the unexpected, which I think is also not ideal. But if we compare it with Force Awakens, like The Force Awakens does essentially nothing unexpected, right? Like, it plays it completely by the numbers and is boring as well for the same reason. Right, can I get to 6? Yes, that's good. So that allows me to use the assault rifle, which is basically just like the pistol but stronger. And I can't really afford anything else now. Not sure I need any of these. I think I might change the hotkey for the assault rifle so that it to be 2, since that's what I'm using anyway. Oh, the assault rifle's on 4. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's just use that. 4. Is it interesting? This is such an old game. I don't have. I don't know what it was. I think it must have been something to do with the FOV. But games of this era somehow couldn't figure out how to have another hand steady the gun. So I'm wielding this assault rifle one-handed, which gives it a really weird feel. Right. Oh, I need to put my pistol somewhere. You know what, I'll just leave it here. I mean, this is great, right? Look, I'm just taking the bullets out of my gun. I guess in a lot of games the bullets aren't even in the gun, but it still feels really good to do that. Oh, I don't need to carry 2 different laser pistols either, do I? Oh, and I should modify this. Oh, whoa. Whoops. Okay, I should... Oh, need to modify skill of 2 to that. Oh, alright. Guess I should have bought that. Never mind. This assault rifle is an interesting example of a thing that's quite uncommon now.
Your colleagues have managed to set up a transmitting station
in the athletic sector of this deck. The transmitter is intended
to send a message to the Earth to warn them of the events that have occurred in this ship.
However, it will also draw power
away from Xerxes, making him vulnerable to my will.
Once you do this, I will control the primary data loop. The annelids are unaware of its presence,
but guard the area for their own
purposes.
Find the transmitter and activate it.
So I completely forgot what I was talking about then. I do remember what I have to do on this level, but I'm not going to explain it until after I've found out about it in character.
Okay, I got the ARC terminals wired up to display the fragmented dish alignment for the transmitter. I've also rigged up the tower to set off a security alert in case somebody else tries to tamper with it. I'm headed there right now to start the transmission. Hey, who's that? Juan? Marie?
Oh, okay, you just explained it. This is fantastic use of this environment. There we go. The code is on these things. So I've got to wander the whole level looking for paintings. I can't imagine a game doing that now. Like, it's so fiddly and so hard to find. Oh yeah, I need to... Right, I'm going to modify my assault rifle. Decrease reload time. Right, and then I'm going to French Epstein the second. Oh, I can't find out what the second modification does. There we go. What did that do? Oh, the second... Right, that just massively increased the clip size. 72 bullets seems a little unnecessary, to be honest. Okay, I think I'm good now. Right, I should probably stop in a minute. So much money. Different style of music here. Oh, lovely. Those flies are triggering from way longer away than the other ones were. Mean. Too mean. Ah! I don't think let's see if I've got any more logs. Yes, I have.
If we can reprogram the sim units and divert power to the transmitter on Deck 5, my new friend will be able to regain control of the primary data loop from Xerxes. She, 8, says that will let us use the bridge elevator and take control of the ship.
I don't know what's going on around here, and I don't want to know. I'm not here for the glory of the stupid company. I'm just supposed to make sure the replicators are running. And now people are dying. I've got to turn the ship around and go home. God, get me the hell out of this place.
Hi there. Please make your selection.
You could have some to buy some more armor-piercing bullets. I assume the chance to lose durability is random, like each time you fire you may lose durability. That's the way to the mall. Lovely.
This is Xerxes. The Deck 5 shopping area will be closed until further notice. We apologize for the inconvenience. The family of the many grows with every passing moment. Glory to the flesh. Glory to the mass.
That seems like a useful place to have a working surgical unit. No way in all game to do that. So there's a rare those over there. It's probably I've probably missed some actually. Like there's probably one somewhere that I just never found. No crew quarters access. That's the way through to where that guy at the window was calling for help from. Yeah, it's the same room. I really like the layout, like how weirdly laid out the ship is. Like it looks like a corporate office building, you know. It's kind of Star Trek-y, but also kind of corporate.
Stay out of the mall if you can. It crawls.
Thanks, guy. Oh, I don't have my radiation suit. Oh, there's a... I can go and get it. So I can go to the mall, except it crawls. I haven't been down this way yet. And I found one piece of code, which is 10. Oh, that's effective. Oh yeah, I was saying, like, there's an unusual thing. Which is that I can use the same ammunition in a better gun. That's quite unusual in action games, like in shooters. I guess it's you have it all the time in progression-based RPGs where you just unlock a better gun. But this game uses research 1. This game is a much more conventional FPS structure. Tiny heart with 7 chambers. And in that sort of context, it's relatively rare now to be able to like find a gun that's just better than the gun I was using and uses the same ammunition. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that monkey sound effect. It's great. It's used at the start of 28 Days Later. That's the most distinctive place I've heard it. But it comes up just all the time. I guess maybe I should have saved my surgical thing. Never mind. Oh, what's that? An EMP rifle. the weapon balance in this game is just all over the place. Like it I don't hold it against it because it doesn't really matter. But the assault rifle is just fantastically good. It has ammunition types, so I can switch it to arm-piercing ammunition to kill, like, robots with. It does so much damage, it just kills everything. I could instead spend a lot of XP leveling up my energy weapon skill to get access to an EMP rifle, which is about as effective as an armor-piercing assault rifle. So it's just not a very good investment of XP. I'm picking up loads of...
The eggs we found near the observation chambers are different from the ones in Hydro. They release some kind of disgusting flying swarming thingies. Bullets don't do anything. Bullets, for Christ's sake. I never even fired a gun before this morning.
I think that's a strongly written audio log. Right, I think I should probably leave it there, since we're going to go on to a new zone anyway. So I'm going to save there. I will probably be streaming again Thursday. That's my plan. More of this. And then try and organise. I'm trying to get to affiliate status, because if I get to affiliate status, I can host a karaoke stream, and then try to get as many JMods as possible singing. That's my plan. Let's see if it works. It probably won't. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will see you Thursday, hopefully.